you know, one of my least favorite things in the world is having to interact with society, having to interact with people and people's pets and, people's hobbies and people's music. I just don't like people too much, man. While I do enjoy the benefits of a society with people, as in, you could make money, they could offer you goods and services. I like all that, but I just don't like living around people, man. I wish I didn't have to deal with people. One of my life goals is to buy enough land, enough large, like a big ass piece of land, man. I want a piece of land so big, you could get lost in that thing, I want my land to be so big and spacious that, I'll never have to worry about neighbors again. I wish I could have a piece of land so big where I could just let my dogs roam free and they'll never interact with anybody, because I hate society. I don't wish society ill will. No, I know we need society. Like I said, I enjoy the benefits of society, but I just don't want to interact with it, more than I need to. I don't know. I've always had this weird thing where, I don't like when people bump or play loud music. I don't like when people throw large parties and big events and there's a lot of people and a lot of ruckus. I've always just preferred people to just, like, a good day for me is not having to hear anybody's music, If I could go a whole day without hearing somebody's music play, it's been a good day, And I know I may sound like a Debbie Downer or like a negative Ned, but that's just how I've been, man, my whole life. Like, I always hated people's noises. Like, I make enough noise myself, man. My ideal volume for music is just like the max your phone gives. If your phone, the max volume on your phone, that should be enough. But no, people want giant speakers the size of a car, and they want the whole city and neighborhood to hear. And it's just I hate that, Like, I literally, like, people ask me, like, you don't get bored of not interacting with society? I do not get bored of not interacting with society. And any day I don't have to leave the house is a good day for me. But it's like I'm always running out of stuff, like I'm always running out of water, or I gotta go get groceries or something like that. And it's like you always have to be forced to interact with society to some extent. I wish I was rich enough to just, like, be one of those people who gets, like, delivery, like food delivery all the time. Like, not even just like hot food, but like groceries. Hey, groceries and water, groceries and water, and get my little my 420 delivered to me. I wish I can't wait till one day have that type of money, because I know, like, I don't have to have children, because I won't have children. I don't have the opportunity, so realistically my dream could be a reality if I was to like lock in, like, if you're not going to have children, you got your whole life. You got your whole life to make your dreams a reality. Whether those dreams are just to escape society as a whole, that's one of my goals, man. My goal is to just not have to interact with anybody, like, I don't like needing things of people. Like, nothing annoys me more than needing somebody for something. You know, like, oh, I gotta fill out some paperwork. I need this person's signature, so you gotta go look for them, and or stuff like that. You know, just like, oh, you know, I need my paycheck. I need to go talk to the boss, and you know, you gotta sit there like a peon, waiting on your boss to cut you up a check. And then that check is barely enough to even cover your bills, and you know, you're left choosing in between, you know, some food or some 420, and your life is so hellish that you choose the 420. So you just, you know, you get your 420 in, but you don't eat. You know, I've been there, you know, because that's like what life does to you sometimes. And that's the goal. The goal's to one day have enough money, one day have enough land, acres, influence, to just be able to get away from society as a whole. I don't want to hear people's engine roar. You know, that's another thing I don't like, is when you're just like enjoying a nice calm day and then you hear somebody's engine roar. You know, their freaking exhaust, you know, burning tires. And, you know, I don't like smelling people's environment, you know. Like, there's times like the neighbors will burn trash. Like, I don't want to smell that shit, you know. But what could we do? You know what I'm saying? That's why my goal, like the little land I have right now, that's not even, honestly, like, the little land that I have now, that's not big enough for what I want. Like, that's not enough distance between me and society. Like, to be honest, I'd need like 10 times the size of what I have there, to, honestly, even more, you know. It's not that small. It's not that big, man. It's like a 1/4 acre. And it's like that's not enough for what I want. I want to just be able to like have freaking goats roaming around. You know, freaking dogs roaming around. Have me, you know, roaming around, maybe on an ATV or something. Like, I don't want to deal with people, bro. Like, that's why one of my main goals is to develop some type of digital income, man. Some type of way to just be able to get away from society, get away from everything, but still have some income. You know, I need to find a way out of this, because realistically, I won't be having any children. You know, I won't have that bill. You know, most guys that have kids, and like 3/4 of their earnings go to diapers and child's clothing and all these little like tedious things that a baby needs. Like, a baby is a lot of money. It's a lot of expense. A baby, like, you need baby wipes, blankets. You know, they outgrow their clothing every freaking 2-3 months. Like, you're going to be spending a lot of money on children. And if you know you're not going to have children, just based off the mere fact that you are not selected by women to procreate, then you got time. You know, you got time, and you don't got anybody depending on you. And that's responsible. You know, I tip my hat to men who know they can't provide for their children, so they choose to opt out, you know. And obviously, for some of us, it's involuntarily opted out of having children. But I respect those guys who could have children and opt out, you know, because, you know, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I wasn't necessarily like impoverished by any means, honestly. I was a pretty blessed kid, and I'm even pretty blessed now. But I can't even imagine being brought into this earth with like nothing. Like, just absolutely nothing. You know, like, that would be hell. Just like my dad always had a job. My dad always had cars. Like, we were never like you hear those stories of those kids who take the bus to school in like first grade. He's like, nah, man, my mom and dad always made sure we had a car. You know, they always made sure we were good, you know. So it's like, I don't know, like just the way I am, the way how I don't want to really interact with society. You know, having kids is just, it's not even an option if it was, you know, because it's too hellish. It's too uncomfortable. Just the idea of like little kids depending on me, little kids, like, you know, their future relying on my success and my action. I don't know. It's a lot, you know. Those are big shoes to fill. You know, our parents just enjoyed a better era than we did. You know, in a sense, our parents had it easier than us. You know, because back in the day, you know, a lot of our parents, moms or dads, you know, or aunts and uncles, whoever, you know, you could notice that they had jobs with longevity. They had jobs where they worked that job for 30, 40 years. For 30 to 40 years, that job was good to them. That job was able to provide them with, you know, everything they need to give their kids. In our economy, in our job market, the way things are right now, I don't see any jobs lasting 30 to 40 years. You know? Like even Jeff Bezos, man. Like Jeff Bezos even said that he doesn't see Amazon lasting forever. Because that's how quick the world adapts. And especially with this new technology, like we're entering an era that is just like there will be no use for you. There will be no position for you to work where you could earn some money. Like with our parents' generation, you know, your mom could get away with being a receptionist at a dental office. You know, your dad could get away with, you know, pushing carts at a grocery store, or you know, mowing lawns. You know, your parents could get away with raising 5, 6, 7, 8 kids off one income of a manager at a warehouse. You know, like there used to be jobs at the steel mill, bro. Like you could get a job at the steel mill. Like where are there steel mills now? They're non-existent in America, you know, and that's where most of us live. You know, it's just brutal. We don't live in that same environment that our parents grew up in and could raise families in. There aren't, you know, those $800, you know, $1,000, 2-3 bedroom apartments. They don't exist, you know. And, you know, like, if you want an apartment in a decent area where your kids aren't going to get, like, I don't know, recruited into some gang, it's going to run you from, like, $2,800 a month to, you know, $4,000 a month. And unless, you know, you're just making big bags, realistically, that's a lot of money. And that's not even including food. You know, like what hurts the most is just the percentage of money you get left with at the end of the month. You know, our parents lived in an era where after expenses, they probably had 50% of their income left. We're in an era where the cost of living for some of us, if we want to live the same type of lifestyle they had, you know, probably, you know, 80% of your income to 130%, which means you're going to go into debt. You know, why do you think things like payday loans and, you know, car title loans and all this stuff exist? Because people don't make enough. You know, if there was, if people were making enough money, it's not even that they don't make enough money, it's that the market and the way the world and the economy is set up now, in 2025, it's set up for you not to have money. It's set up for you not to have money, man. It's set up for you to not be able to pay your rent. You know, we don't live in that era, man. You know, where you're like, there's like these career jobs where you could just like work them forever. You know, like, okay, yeah, they still exist, but you're more than likely gonna have to be doing something like police work. You know, some type of job where you're at the job all day. So kiss any free time goodbye. You know, that's why men like us, men who just who don't have the possibility of having kids, you know, or don't want to choose to not have kids. Because I'm sure most of us, let's be real, most of us, if we really were desperate, I believe most men could pick up something, you know. You could get something. You know, you could get some type of, you know what I'm saying? If you really were about it. If you really were like dead set, I'm going to have kids. I don't care how they come out. You know, you could do it. But let's just be real, man. You know, we don't live in that same era, man. You know, our dads and our moms were able to raise us. And probably like a bunch of us, like most of us probably come from biggish families. You know, they were able to raise us and a bunch of other siblings off grocery store jobs. That just doesn't exist. You know, that just doesn't exist. That's why, like, if you could just focus your attention on just developing something else. Like, my goal is just to buy a big piece of land and just live as far away from society as I can. You know, get as far away from society as humanly possible. But, yeah, I'll talk more. Peace out.